Hello, hello, my beloved waking gods and goddesses. Maria West here. Welcome to Love, Truth, and Beauty. This is episode 369 and my 16th installment of my video series, Conversations with Men. And today I have with me my very, very good friend and one great work network colleague, Crypt Rick, who has two podcasts, Crypt Rick, I've been thinking, and also Crypt Rick and Jonathan on Revolutionary Radio. And I have been so privileged to be on Crypt Rick's show quite a number of times, and we have lively conversations. And I've been wanting to have him on. Rick, how are you, sweetheart?
I am good. I'm here. I'm excited to be here, and it's cool that you're 369. Wow, that's a lot of episodes.
It is, and I'm endeavoring to do things differently and not feel so, obligated because it really changes the vibe, I
Right.
think,
I agree. You
you
got to be
know.
inspired and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. I love it.
Um,
That's a lot.
yeah, yeah. Well, and you do a whole bunch of stuff with your podcasts,
Right.
all of them. And,
Yeah.
how do you do it? And also, you live with chronic pain.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that and we'll move on because I don't want to belabor it, but
No, it's a good conversation. I know a
yeah.
lot of people struggle with chronic pain, and um my journey through my whole life is it's shaped a lot of ways. It's shaped who I am for good and for bad.
Mm-hmm.
Chronic pain changes who you are the longer I think you deal with it. And at
Yes.
first I think it changes you for the worst in a lot of cases when you
Mm-hmm.
first encounter it. And then I think if you can get through some hurdles, you kind of make peace with it, and then you start, for me in my case now, I'm kind of rebelling against it, which has been my journey for years now. I kind of
Ah.
I call it raging against my condition, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
I never want it to be the focus of me, because it's only one part of me, and I
Right.
don't even like calling it a disease.
Yeah.
I like calling it an inconvenience, because that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
something I have to. It inconveniences me daily. But the condition I have is ankylosing spondylitis, and that's a condition that's in the arthritis family. It
Mm-hmm.
comes from the female side of the genetics. So it
Okay.
was given to me by my mother, who did, like, my mother's side. She never had it.
Mm-hmm.
From what I can tell, my grandmother never had it. I don't know where it came from like how far back it goes, but it's definitely comes from that side of it.
Okay.
And I first got it, symptoms of it, when I was 16, is when I started noticing symptoms, not knowing what they were. I was just
Holy
having a lot of
moly.
pain, and hip pains, especially hip pain and lower back, and it was really, it got to the point where at times I would be walking, just walking normal, and I my legs would give out, and I just land on the ground, and
Oh,
I
wow.
remember, yeah, and I remember giggling like I did, like, because I didn't know, like, I mean, at that age you just kind of like, that was weird, like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, why'd my legs stop working? So I'd get up, and I'd be fine for a while, but then over that course of that being 16, the pain got worse and worse in my hips, is where it really hit me hard in the hips first, and it's usually in
Wow.
the spine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for a year, um, I was going back and forth to doctors constantly. I must have had a million blood tests, and every test you can think of, they couldn't hone in on what it was.
Wow.
Yeah, and so finally, a year later, when I was 17, they gave, kind of in the town I live in, all this the specialist kind of were like, we'll send you to a bigger city. So they sent me to a big city clinic, and it was shocking. I went in, did one blood test. After I talked to the doctor, the specialist, I told him all my symptoms. He's like, I think I know what you have. It's kind of rare for your age, but I think I got a hold on. So he goes, I got to do a blood test, confirm it. So he came
Mm-hmm.
back like maybe an hour later, and he's like, yeah, you have ankylosing spondylitis. And that was where the journey started. But, as much,
Whoa.
yeah, but at least I had a name for it. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
knew what I was up against.
Yeah.
And so that was my journey
What
to
is the
finding out.
prognosis of that?
But what it does, it's an evil it's an evil condition, man. And along with everything else that people have that is
Yeah.
that sticks with you for your whole life. But what it basically does, and this is what I struggle against, is it it fuses your spine, so it makes you basically your spine like solid, and they call it bamboo spine, is what it like a just a underground term or whatever. That's like a slang term for it, bamboo spine. Because if you do look at your spine when you're affected by this, it does look like bamboo. Like it
Oh,
actually looks
wow.
like bamboo. Yeah, and what it does is it fuses your joints, like your spinal cord. It fuses on the inside, so the part of your spine that's facing your rib cage and the inside, that's where it fuses. And as it fuses, it starts pulling you forward. So you start
Oh,
getting a really
holy
big
moly.
hunch. Yeah. So that's why I hunch over. If people see me in videos and you see when I'm sitting in my chair and the top of my chair is like way above me, it's because I'm hunched over pretty bad. Like I'm really got a severe case of it. Where I'm
Wow,
really
that's
hunched
really
forward.
interesting. I've
Yeah.
I've seen you on camera. It never occurred to me. Isn't
That's
that
good.
wild? Never occurred
Yeah.
to me.
I've had a few people say like, "Oh, that in my neck, like it fuses right in so it's fused right from my lower back right up into my spine, right into my spine, like my whole spine's fused and it goes right into my brain stem. So my neck doesn't move. My neck is like fused solid. I haven't moved my neck in probably, I don't know, 20 years. I haven't been able to turn my
Wow.
head or anything. Yeah. And then in my 20s, so this is kind of to cap it all off. So I'm hunched over it. That's fully fused. There's no going back that as of yet for this
Hmm.
condition. There is treatments that they're working on. There is a treatment now, which if you get it early enough now, so this is good hope for people that maybe are going to get diagnosed with this in the
Hmm.
future. There is hope. They have drugs out there now that can slow it down drastically.
Okay.
So if you do have this condition and they get it early enough, they can put you on a certain drug that kind of suppresses your immune system,
Hmm.
and you're going to be well into your old age before you start getting to where I'm at. When I got it, they had no treatment. They just had pain meds was your treatment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was my spine. And then at 25, I'm trying to remember when I have double hip replacement because that's where it really attacked me at first was
Hmm.
in my hips. So I think I couldn't, I was in a lot of pain from my 17 into my, like 25, I think. No,
Hmm.
27. 27 is, I think, when I got them. So I got
Okay.
fake hip, two hip replacements.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wowie, wowie, wowie. So how did you manage that? Now, would you say that your journey with this has triggered perhaps um your awakening process?
Yeah, I was see, I was thinking about that because I knew we were going to be talking, and I'm
Hmm.
trying to remember how the awakening. I've always been somebody that, from as early as I can remember, that's been very curious and always asking why
Hmm.
and wanting to know the answers.
Yeah.
So I always knew, I think, from a young age that there was more to the world than meets the eye, kind of thing. I was like, this can't be it. This can't be what life is. You get older, you get a job, you hate your job, you work astronomical hours, and then when you're too old to enjoy it, you retire, and that's life.
Right.
And I
Right.
was like, this is not right. And I think that's what started me on this journey of learning what's really going on and what's
Hmm.
happening to humanity.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think, I definitely know with having my condition, it waking me up to how messed up our medical system is and how they really don't know what they're doing.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
like
Wow.
I got experimented on with drugs that like I was part of the like I was telling you about that drug that suppresses
Hmm.
this condition now. Well, I was part of the trials back in the day when they were first using this drug, and it was an injection you gave yourself in your quad muscle every month. And I
Oh, ah,
yeah,
oh
but I
my
had a reaction
God.
to it. I had a reaction to it. I couldn't do it. I like it.
Yeah.
My body didn't like it, so I started getting side effects. So I couldn't use it. And
Wow.
but they experimented on me for a year. They didn't know. They were like, "Oh, we'll try this. We'll try this. We'll try this." And then in the long run, they ended up burning holes in my stomach for a while
Oh,
and just doing
shit.
yeah. They don't.
Ah.
I know.
Oh, honey,
So
I'm so sorry. Ah, I I'm I got like these goosebumps from just, the absolute shock and
yeah,
revulsion of it.
yeah. they didn't know back then. That's what I learned about the medical system, is that a lot of the, I've they just don't know a lot,
Hmm.
and they can
Yeah.
help you. I always tell people, if you got a broken arm or you need a surgery or something like that, of course, there's a place for all of this. But
Yeah.
when it comes to long-term care, I find that that's where they're lacking,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Wow.
holistic especially. Like, there's so
Hmm.
much more they could have done holistically
Hmm.
that I know now,
Yeah.
you know.
Did you look at like holistic avenues for, like, say, pain management, or to, well, I can imagine the load and the burden on your everyday psyche,
Hmm.
because having dealt with chronic pain myself, I know that, wow, it wears you the fuck out,
Yeah.
and so it's hard to stay focused, it's hard to stay inspired, it's hard to, just speaking for myself, not want to hate on the world,
Hmm.
and the world is messed up already. So, the sort of added burden of that. What were some of the things that you looked at or tried, or tools that you engaged that helped you?
That helped me. I'm trying. I went through so many different things, Mari. I'm trying to think.
Hmm.
I've done so much. I
Yeah.
tried so many things. I have to thank my mom and dad for being very open. Like, they really tried to help me,
Aw.
and like find out different things. But back then, I was under the mindset then at that age that doctor knew best, kind of thing.
Hmm.
That's the way I was raised,
Yep.
right? And doctors, they know what they're doing, and stuff like that. And so it was a process that over time I started to realize that they were guessing a lot, it seemed. But
Yeah.
I tried some holistic stuff, but it wasn't back then. It's so different now. People
Hmm.
talk about this stuff more, about
Yeah.
holistic medicine, and there's so many
Yeah.
different things like CBD and all of this stuff. Back in the 80s and 90s, early
Hmm.
90s, wasn't so open.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
tried certain things. I would try like different herbs, and I would try it was mostly herbs, and then I had a TENS machine, which was like a muscle. People and that are listening
Yeah. I
probably know
know
what.
those. I know
Yeah,
those.
I got one now. I just got My friend got me one, and I'm using it again. I hadn't had one for years, and so yeah,
Sweet.
I was using that, but yeah, the pain at that time I had a really bad case of it. Like, it's I think back, and it's just like, wow. Like, I mean, at that age, to have that kind of pain, you're
Hmm.
not ready mentally for it, for one
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
so it took a long time. Like I said at the beginning of when we started talking, like, I think at first, you when you at that at least from that age, you don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You don't know how to get the news. So they
Yeah.
just kind of tell you. And I mean, now it's so much different, because I did, if I'm honest, I did everything wrong at the beginning. I should have been doing way more proactive. I should have respected my disease
Hmm.
way more than I did. But I was young, and I was like, whatever. And so, to deal with pain, that's how it led me into my drinking. That was
Okay.
kind of like where I went to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that runs in my
Understandable.
family. Yeah. And
That's understandable.
well, it runs in the family. Like, all the males in my side of the family all were alcoholics, and
Hmm.
so I definitely have that genetically somewhere. And
Yeah.
so that's what happened was I got angry,
Hmm.
um, and I drank, and just that's was what I did for a long time, a
Hmm.
lot of years. That was kind of how I dealt with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
I mean, it definitely provides a respite
mhm.
from from all of it. So understandable.
Yeah,
Understandable.
you just want to when you're in chronic pain, you want even a minute of no pain. Like, and it's hard because now I'm so used to always being in pain that it's just an everyday part of my life. I've had it for so long that it's just I'm always in some degree of pain. I'm never pain free, and you just
Yeah.
kind of get used to it, which is sad in itself that somebody has to get used to living like that. But
Hmm.
um yeah, it's just it changes. Like, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Chronic pain changes you. It really hardens you
Yeah.
after a while, and
Yeah.
that's what I worry about the most, is that for a long time I became very hard. That was probably the biggest
Hmm.
part of my awakening journey, is I had to get in touch with the caring part of me and not caring towards other people. That I mean towards myself, and
Yes.
if that makes any sense.
It totally makes sense because, and as a man, men are not, it's such a journey to really be able to stand down from the mind control programming of, what it is to be a man and to be strong and to be impervious to pain,
Hmm.
to hurt, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, whatever. I'm reading a book right now called Under Saturn's Shadow by James Hollis, and the subtitle is The Wounding and Healing of Men. And he talks about just the down pat, understood patterns and packs that the masculine has, that men have, that is not talked about, that is brushed under the rug, that, men actually and women pretend there's no vulnerability that exists. And, just the burden and the criminality of that. So
Hmm.
to undertake all that plus chronic pain and like, whoa, and
Yep.
to be under that pressure of, being the provider, being this, being that, being everything to everybody, all the while sacrificing your own well-being and your self-care.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, and that's what I was saying. It's been a long journey,
Mm-hmm.
because at that young age, and you're right. Men are born, we're raised to suck it up and be tough and all of that. That's kind of like how I was brought up, anyways. It was like typical. You got to be tough. I played rough. Like I mean, I was a rough kid. I was always out in the woods and in nature, and I was always outside, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and getting hurt all the time. That's so I knew pain. I mean,
Yeah.
I was good with that, and I
Yeah.
played hard. But when you start dealing with chronic pain like I was, you start to question like everything. Like you're like, okay, what am I like? Where do I fit in? Like
Yeah.
I can't do what most men do, like physically. That's
Yeah.
a big thing. Like
Yeah.
I have to learn I can't do certain things. I can't
Yeah.
like I'm very limited. So it starts to play on your psyche for sure when you
Mm-hmm.
start really questioning things and wondering how you fit in, and then you have people looking at you kind of like I remember like at that age people were like you're faking and you want attention and
Oh my God,
oh
you're
yeah,
kidding.
yeah, from doctors and nurses all the
Oh,
time. All the
fucking
time from
hell.
nurses. Yeah,
Wow.
they were like, "Oh, you're just drug seeking," and I'm like, "Really? Like you think at this age?"
Unbelievable.
Yep. Oh
Like,
yeah.
who are these monsters, honestly?
Yep. And I just used to sit there and say, "Yeah, live in my body for a day," and I'm thinking like, then you're gonna see if I'm drug seeking. Like
Yeah.
that was the furthest thing from my mind. I just wanted out of pain, and
Oh my God. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear
yeah,
that. Wow.
which is, can you imagine nurses saying that though? I was just,
Yeah, I
I was shocked.
can. I
I
I
can, yeah.
actually can. I've had incredibly negative experiences with doctors and nurses
Hmm.
and just medical people in general. The fucking arrogance and the dismissiveness, like, you know what? Back the fuck off me. I might punch
Yep.
you, you know.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I go. So I am like, I'm kind of blown away because I know when you're that young and you're in your teens and 20s and you're trying to discover this and then adulting. But here's what I'm fascinated about. In spite of all that,
Hmm.
you've been a tattoo artist.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
hear about that.
Well, it's all I've all that's where it comes into my story where after I got done I stopped drinking,
Hmm.
and I because I went through, and I think a lot of people, as I was saying, it's a journey that you're going to go through
Yeah.
when you have a chronic condition. Oh, I hope people get to the other side of it. A lot of people don't, but
Yeah.
you get,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the stages of grieving almost. Like you get
Hmm.
angry and then you get mad and then you get, like I said, then you start raging against it. And
Yeah.
that's when I stopped drinking, and I never wanted to just be non-active. I always I'm very creative. I'm very artistic. That's one thing since I was a child. All my mom
Yeah.
said I was drawing, but like since she can remember, I was painting and drawing and stuff. And I love tattoos. I remember my uncle had old tattoos on him, like, handmade, like stick and poke tattoos way back in the day. And I was fascinated by
Wow.
this artwork you could do on the skin, and it was permanent. It was like,
Yeah,
wow. So I would draw on
they're
myself.
beautiful.
They are.
They're
Oh, they're works
beautiful.
of art now. Like it's come so far tattooing. I
Mhm.
can't believe the work that is coming out of artists now. And but I would draw on my arms. I was always in trouble with my mom, and because I would just draw on my arms, and I'd be like, I'm gonna
Cool.
be I'm gonna tattoo myself one day,
I love it.
and I did that. I self-taught myself how to tattoo, and
Oh
I
my
love
God.
it.
How did you do that? I mean, did you watch people?
Oh
Did you
yeah.
just okay, so you
Yeah.
watch people, did you take classes, read
No,
books,
no.
all of it?
I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I remember
Okay.
before I even tattooed anything in the skin, and I did my first tattoo I ever did was on myself. I practiced on myself. I was the guinea pig, but I watched a lot of videos and read a lot of stuff online and just learned about the craft and
Hmm.
the history of it. I like the history of things. I wanted to know where it came from, where these old artists started and all that. So I really dove into it because I found it fascinating. I still do.
Wow.
And so my way to get into it, to get comfortable, was I started building my own tattoo machines. I thought, I'm going to learn, like a lot of tattoo artists in this day and age can't even build their own machines. I've built
Hmm.
mine from scratch, and I did that for about a year. I just sat there
Wow.
and built them, learned how to tune them, never tattooed anybody or myself, and I was just slowly gaining knowledge,
Hmm.
writing lots of notes in my book and that. And then yeah, you just one day you got to take the plunge,
Wow.
um, put a
That is
needle to
such a
skin.
cool thing. So you really just kind of engineered and nerded out.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. And
Awesome.
yeah, and it was funny because I had all the equipment that I needed. I had all the ink, I had all the needles, but I never tattooed anybody. And my friends used
Hmm.
to say, like, you don't even know if you can do it. Like you got all the stuff and you're building machines, but you have to eventually. I was very nervous to do it because it's
Hmm.
permanent.
Of
And that's always in
course.
the back of your mind. I'm like, oh my God, if I mess this up on somebody, they're stuck with it unless they get it covered or removed. So I
Hmm.
worked on myself, and I met a lot of incredible tattoo artist in that year journey. I met a lot of people that took me under their wing. And even though it was over, I have one friend, a mentor of mine that was in Texas, and he actually came all the way from Texas to Canada to visit a few years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, it was amazing. I can't get my friends that live in the same town to come and visit me, but I can get somebody from Texas to come all
Isn't
the way
that,
over.
isn't that, I'll come visit you.
I know you would. That'd
You
be
know,
awesome.
just don't let it be in Toronto because I am persona non grata in Toronto and Ontario. It's like, holy moly.
Yeah, but yeah, and yeah, definitely not in Toronto. We could do that, but yeah. So I met a lot of great people that gave me advice, and they really respected me. A lot of the people I met, because they said we can tell you love the art, and you
Hmm.
want to learn it the right way. Like you want to make sure that you do everything right. You're taking your time. A lot of people just get a cheap machine and they just start tattooing people, and I didn't want
Hmm.
to be that guy. So yeah, I
Yeah.
just had a lot of help, and I watched a lot of videos, and like I said, read a lot of books, and then
Amazing.
you take the plunge, and I used my leg
Hmm.
as the I remember when I did my first tattoo on myself, and I had the phone propped up on my tattoo bench aimed down at my leg, and I had my tattoo mentor from Texas
Hmm.
watching and trying to guide me. And then I said to him, like, when I was setting up, I'm like, I've never done this before. He's like, you've never tattooed in skin before? I'm like, no. And he's like, oh my God. He was laughing, and it worked. It worked. It stuck.
Oh
It's
my
still
God.
there.
That is such an amazing story. And you're tattooing your leg
Hmm.
with your chronic pain.
Yeah.
And and so I can imagine that the level of precision and focus that you were running through your tissues, through
Hmm.
your cells was over the top. You were actually in your element.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's weird when you hurt yourself. Like that was
Hmm.
the hardest part when I first started tattooing. And my brain took a few minutes to go, like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah.
Why you're hurting yourself, but you want to do it. It's just a weird thing I
Yeah.
think everybody goes through when they
Yeah.
tattoo themselves for the first time. But I knew as soon as I started doing it that I was kind of a natural at it because I
Uh-huh.
was a natural artist. And then I just I love it, and I wish I could still do it, but with my condition and being hunched over so far,
Hmm.
it's kind of tricky to get into certain positions
Yeah,
to
yeah,
tattoo people. And
yeah,
I mean, I've had to bend my clients into pretzels before to get to a spot where I want to tattoo. So
yeah.
I kind of I still want to do it. I probably still will continue to do it, but I got to be very selective
It's
on what area.
amazing. It's such an amazing story. I remember reading this and going, what? What? He's been holding out. My God. You know,
I love it. I love the whole art, and it's just incredible what
oh,
they're doing now.
it's fantastic. I have gone to tattoo conferences. I went to a convention in Las Vegas, Nevada,
Oh
many,
wow.
many years ago. I was floored.
Yep.
I was totally floored. Some of the weird stuff people were doing, like yeah, tattooing totem poles on a penis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I was riveted, and it was actually happening. And there was a video screen, and I'm just like going, holy moly, it's like the creativity and the audacity of humanity, in the creation flow.
Mm-hmm.
And, my hat is off to you, because that requires so much steadiness. Like, I have one tattoo, and it was supposed to add tiny one, tiny, tiny one.
Okay.
And I couldn't deal with the pain. However, I had piercings all over my body once upon a time. I was totally into it, and
Right.
so it's like a difference in sensation
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So,
Well, a piercing's very quick pain, right? Like it's a like because I got my nipple pierced once, and wow, that hurt. I was like, oh
yeah,
my
no,
gosh.
I got my left nipple pierced, and it never healed. It
I've
just
heard of that. Yeah.
It was so cool looking, but it just never, ever, ever healed. And so what would happen is that it would soak through my
Yep.
clothes. So I'm walking around, my left boob is like, oh, hello. We're wet in public. That's wonderful. I mean, you just look damaged. And so I finally just said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm pulling it out. I pulled it out. It healed, I swear to God, in 72 hours. And you
Wow.
can't tell it had ever been pierced.
Yeah, mine healed. I took mine out too after a while, and I can't. I was gonna re-pierce it. I was like, I'll just put another hoop in there,
Yeah,
and you can't tell now.
you
Like
can't tell. It
I'd
just
have to
didn't want it.
re-pierce it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't
But
want
yeah,
it.
that was a wild sensation. I mean, I would never do that again. And I like certain piercings. I think people have once again have gone a little crazy with them and
Yes.
get too many. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion. If you got lots of piercings, all the power
Yeah.
to you. I think it's a great art form. And I
Yeah.
was starting to look into that too, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I can tattoo somebody, but sticking a needle in the people's body parts like that and I just for some reason just I
Yeah. I let go. At one point I had 17, and
wow.
now I think I have 8.
Well, that's cool. I didn't even know you had any.
Yeah, I've got my nose one is prominent, you know,
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
and that's really about it. And that happened when I was 19. 19 in Morocco, I believe, with
That's cool.
it's stoned out of my mind. And the woman that pierced me was about 400 pounds, I swear to God, but she was the most beautiful East Indian woman I'd ever seen. I was mesmerized, and I didn't know what to expect. She took a red hot sharp poker, stuck something up my nose, and poked me with it. And I swear to God, I smelled burnt hamburger up my nostrils for, like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half after
Oh my god.
that. So, I mean, the things we do, but, you know,
It's
getting
beautiful
back
art.
getting back to your story, the other thing I wanted to touch upon was your gig, your time as a pro wrestling manager.
Right.
I
That was so
love pro
fun.
wrestling. I love it so much, and I watched it. It was the only thing that other than the Addams Family, and Dark Shadows, The Prisoner, The Twilight Zone, and a handful of other ones. I loved watching pro wrestling when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, and I used to go to a neighbor's house to get into it, and it was so fun. How did
I love
that?
it.
How did you materialize that?
I don't know how that's that's how I got my name, Crypt Rick, and everything.
Okay.
Everybody, people are always wondering where I got that. I have people ask me that all the time, like why Crypt Rick, and I'm like, oh, it's a long story. Like it comes from my wrestling days, but yeah, I got wrestling man. Like that's interesting. I don't even know how I slid into that. I had a friend that I knew, and he was a referee for
Oh
the wrestling
man.
that was going on in our town. And so
Mhm.
we were like a training school for wrestlers. And we had a guy that was a trainer, and so this guy was learning how to wrestle, and he was a referee. And he kept saying to
Wow.
me, like, come and check it out. Like, come and check it out. You know, what I mean, I know you love wrestling. I'm like you. I watched it from the time I was little, Hulk Hogan and all that era. I was big into that in the 80s. And so he kept
Okay.
trying to talk me into it, and I kept refusing. I was like, yeah, maybe later, maybe later. And I finally went because he just drove me crazy and wanted to go. And as soon as I went into the gym and I saw them training, I was like, wow,
Oh
you know, this
man.
is amazing. Like, and seeing it up close like that and learning about it and the history of it. And once again, I like the history of things. So I really dug into that. And I knew I couldn't wrestle with my condition, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, geez, maybe a manager. Like I could be a
Nice.
manager. I could be the voice box for a wrestler. And so that's how my journey began with the managing. Is
Oh my
I
God. How
yeah.
how old were you when you did that?
Oh my God.
When
That
that
was
started?
um God, you got me going back now. Um gee, I see I'm gonna I'm gonna be giving or taking a few years, but I would say in my 30s,
Okay.
30,
Yeah.
30 something. I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere in my 30s, and it was really cool. I really learned a lot.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What
Met a
what
lot
what
of
was
cool
your
guys
favorite? What's your most memorable? Well, yeah, give me two memorable things from your
from managing.
yeah.
Okay, so two memorable. Well, I know the one that I'll end with because that's what got me out of managing. But
Okay.
the two memorable things is probably the first one would definitely be. I'm trying to think. There's so many I love that so much. I'm trying to think of what really. Let me see here. Maybe it probably for the first big memory that I have is actually the first time I had to go out in front of people and be a manager and assume that role and
Ooh.
play that persona, and how nervous I was because I mean I can't imagine how nervous the wrestlers are because they have
Mm-hmm.
to actually perform and make it look real.
Uh-huh.
I just had to go out there and stand there and like, act. You know, I was kind of like a bad manager. I was like the bad guy manager. That was the role I played, and so I just had to go out there and get people mad at me. But I think I really remember that first time
Oh my God.
how nervous I was. I was just like, and then questioning, like, I don't want to do. Why am I doing this? This is not fun. Like, this is so scary. But then learning so much as I did it,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. I learned a lot that day. Like, and I learned how to persevere. That's something I
Mm-hmm.
learned. I in all of the things I've done, tattooing, and then
Mm-hmm.
as we're talking about my wrestling manager and even
Mm-hmm.
my disease,
Yeah.
is it takes an incredible amount for me perseverance
Yeah.
because you're going against the norm. People
Yeah.
would look at me all hunched over and be like, "How is he going to be a manager? Like, I mean, how's he going to be doing that?" And then
Yeah.
that's how I got my whole persona as Crypt Rick is I had to work with what
Wow.
I had. So that's the first memory. The second memory that really stuck out is what got me out of being a manager, and I realized how dangerous
Mm-hmm.
where I was that close to the action in by the ring it can
Mm-hmm.
be. And so the last time I ever was a manager, an official manager, and like by the ring was
Mm-hmm.
during a big match, and we had a spot. They called a spot. By the way, people that know wrestling, they call it spots. You know, all these different spots are in a match. So
Mm-hmm.
something that happens is called a spot for anyone that doesn't know. And there was a spot with me outside the ring with these wrestlers, and they know I'm very fragile. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you guys cannot hurt me. Like, I mean, you have to be careful with me, baby hands.
Yeah.
And but they're in the moment. These guys are big guys, and they're
Yeah,
in the
they
moment.
are.
Oh, they're huge. I shouldn't have, I technically had no business being out there, and I realized at this moment how dangerous, and I could have been killed or paralyzed or anything, but the
Yeah.
spot, they kind of messed the spot up, and
Uh-oh.
they were supposed to like the whole spot, it's hard to picture in your mind, but if you can, like I'm outside the ring and I got one manager or I got one wrestler in front of me, and I'm kind of like and I got the guy that I'm managing on the other side of me. So I got one in front of me and one behind me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to supposedly, in my I mean, it's funny, but trying to fend off the one wrestler and keep him away from my guy that's outside the ring. And so the good guy, let's call him
Mm-hmm.
good guy, kind of was supposed to give me a light tap on the back and push me into my wrestler guy. So like he was just going to push me lightly, make it look good because they are really good at acting.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a like it looks like a big push and then just tap me on the back and push me into my guy. And then he's gonna grab me and then just kind of put me to the side, like just kind of move me to the side, and then the match continues. Beautiful. Didn't happen that way because wrestlers sweat.
Yeah.
So I got pushed. And that part went well, and then I got pushed into my wrestler, and he was too slippery. It sounds crazy, but he was so sweaty I couldn't grab him,
Oh,
and I ended up
wow.
falling. Yeah, I ended up falling on my back. And with my condition, I call myself a turtle on its back. When I get on my back, I can't get up. If I fall on my back, I can't.
Oh
I have
my
no way to get up
God.
unless I have something to grab, like a
Yeah.
chair
Yeah.
or something. So that's what happened at that moment, and I had to get somebody in the
Holy
audience
moly.
to help me up. And that's when I realized I have no business out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
because if anything goes wrong, and it does
Yeah.
all the time, if
Yeah.
somebody fly and I'm right next to the ring and a big wrestler lands on me
Oh, it's
by
not good.
accident or anything, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I'm done. Like he'll
Yeah.
snap my spine like a twig. And I was so that's when I was like, I'll do like an internet show on wrestling, or I'll do managing like a podcast or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I'm getting away from the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that went on, but it's hard to
No,
explain the
that's
wrestling.
awesome. That's awesome. I actually want to hear more because so when so you moved out from the actual, being there
Yeah.
physically by the ring, and
Yep.
you moved on to, did you say internet?
Yeah,
Internet.
like interviewing is what I meant. Like
Okay,
I went on to doing interviews, and we had like a weekly show that we would do. Um
sweet.
so yeah, so I was like, okay, I'll just play the bad guy kind of as a commentator kind of
Hmm.
thing. So we kind of did I kind of got away from the ring because that scared me. It really did. It may not sound like a lot to your listeners,
No,
but
it
it
sounds a
terrified
lot to
me.
me because I know it and I've
Yeah.
seen some of the stuff. Like, here's a wrestler, a giant wrestler that's flying over the ropes
Yep.
onto a side table
Yep.
and crashing it and practically I mean, it's just like, wow, you
Yeah,
know.
they're incredible athletes. I'll always
Hmm.
say that. And I know people say wrestling's fake. Well, okay, it's not fake. It's predetermined,
Yeah.
and it's all planned out in the back. And I'm not
Yeah.
giving up any
It's
secrets. People
it's
know that.
core it would you say that it's choreographed?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
most of it, a lot of the time they'll just go off. They're so good at what they do that
Hmm.
they don't have to plan every little
Yeah.
second, but
Yeah.
they have spots. That's what they're called,
Yeah.
big spots. And then
Yeah.
they kind of work around that. But I realized at that moment when I had what I just told you about, I just realized how dangerous being out there is. And it is dangerous.
It
It's a
is.
very dangerous environment. You have big guys and they're doing big moves, and it can go back very quickly. And I was
Yeah.
a minor little thing that scared me, but I just realized at that moment I can't be out here. I
Yeah.
love it, but I can't be there.
Yeah.
So I just
Exactly.
adapted. I
Even
adapted.
with that choreography.
Always, oh, there's always mess ups.
Yeah. Always. I did a lot of martial arts and we did a lot of demos, and all it takes is one person being out of placement and
Hmm.
the choreographed, the over rehearsed moves. It's like all of a sudden you're receiving a full on kick to the
Hmm.
face, to
Yep.
a crucial part of your face, and it's full contact
Yep.
when it wasn't because the placement was wrong. And this happened at a lot of parades and shit, and it's like, oh my God. Yeah,
I can
maybe we don't
imagine.
need to be doing that. I don't want a broken face, you know.
I can imagine, like, yeah, like 1 inch off
Yeah,
is change. It could change your life. That's what I like. I realized
yeah,
it's just that one little move, and you could change your life. And you see wrestlers, they get hurt all the time in the ring. Some have died, some are paralyzed. I mean, it's real what they do, and I can vouch for that.
yeah,
And people say, oh, the mats are all foam and that. No, they're not. They're plywood, and they got like those yoga mats, the thickness of a yoga
yeah,
mat, which is
yeah,
nothing. That's what
yeah,
they're landing on.
yeah. It's not, it's when people say that it's fake. I know I would get offended and
Oh, they
butthurt,
do.
to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest, because I know the athleticism it takes
Yeah.
to launch and to do it with precision
Mm-hmm.
and actually to hold it back so that it looks like it's full on, but you're not actually hurting somebody,
Yeah, that's your
you
goal.
know?
That's the art of it.
Yeah.
And then wrestlers, yeah, they get yeah, like I've had people go up to wrestlers and say, "Oh, it's all fake what you do." And the worst thing you can have a wrestler say to you is, "Well, come in the ring and I'll teach you a few things. I'll
Yeah.
show you what it's all about." And I'm like, and then I hear the person a couple times say, "Oh yeah, I'll get in the ring." And I'm like, "Oh no."
Uh-oh.
Because I know it's coming. They're gonna
Yeah.
beat them.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna, and they're not gonna go and like kill them, but they're gonna do what they do to them, and then usually within about 3 minutes, the guy's like tapping out, going, "I've had enough." Like it's not it's hard on
Holy
the body.
moly. Yeah,
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying, but oh my God, fascinating. You have
it's
had
cool.
such a colorful, amazing life.
I'm
And
trying.
um, and you also have a long-term marriage, which I
Yeah.
am very impressed by, because we have this matrix world of relationships, as I call them,
Oh yeah.
where relationships people are disposable.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to move on to the next person and the next person, the next and the next. And so, you're in your, is it 26 years?
26 years. Yep.
Yes.
This Halloween. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
That's such a beautiful thing. So tell us a little bit about what your secrets are for
I've had.
longevity and your
We
success.
talked about
And
this.
I know.
We talked about this for on my radio show. There was a great talk. We got into
Yeah. Yeah.
relationships, and you're right. I mean, the dating scene, I'm so glad I'm not a part of it. I don't
Yeah.
want any
Can
part
you
of it. I
imagine? Oh,
no.
hell no.
No, the dating scene and these dating apps and all of that, I'm just like that's foreign to me. I came from a time when you had to woo a person and
Yes.
date them
I
and
love
court
that
them.
word.
Yeah, you had
Whoa.
to woo them and you had to
Yes.
court them and get to know them. And now these dating apps, it seems that they just throw all that away and they hook up the first time or second time they meet, and then they wonder why the relationship deteriorates from there. And I'm just like, well, I think I don't know how they can't figure this out. I
Hmm.
love the whole dating and courting process. I
Yeah.
really like that. I'm very
Yeah.
romantic that way.
Yeah. I am too. I'm romantic and I'm very old fashioned that way,
Yep,
and
I
so
love it.
I think that's important. And I think also what's important is, how to keep the focus on really honoring one another.
Hmm.
It's like people tell me, well, a relationship is give and take, and I'm like, well, I think it's more both people on that agreement to give and to be the best of themselves,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
so
It's a tricky one because I've had people ask me that, and we've talked about it. Like I said on my show, we got into it, and people say, "Well, what's how does that work?" And I'm like, and I'm like you, and you hear also people, Maria, that they say that it's 50-50 in a relationship, and I'm like,
no,
no, it's 100 to
a
100.
hundred, a hundred.
It's what's
Yeah.
this 50-50? It's 100. You put 100% in, and you need that should be expected. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's give and take. I call it ebbing and flowing. I always
Yes.
that's the only way I can imagine it is
Yes.
that it's this ebb and flow, and sometimes um one partner's holding up the other at a time of need, and then they can flow back, and then you're their pillar at
Yes.
another time, and
Yeah.
then this flow, and you have to be willing to know when to bend,
Mm-hmm.
um, and to
Yeah.
give. You gotta like it's a compromise, but
Yeah.
I don't even like that word, but it is.
Yeah, because
You
that's just been so hijacked
yeah.
by woke culture, like it's an
Mm-hmm.
affront to compromise. It's an affront to be gentle. It's an
Yep.
affront to just let stupid shit go,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
like
it's like, okay.
it's a dance.
Yes.
That's another way I describe it. It's a dance that you're doing. It's so weird. I mean, I'm sorry I don't have the vocabulary because it's I don't know how to explain it because it
You are
comes
doing just
natural.
fine, my friend.
Yeah, like it comes natural. And I try to tell people that me and my wife have never had a big blowout fight. You
Mm-hmm.
never, like, you hear these fights that women are like, "Yeah, fuck you," bang, slam the door, and they run out. You don't see them for a weekend, and or they go to their parents, and and you gotta start figuring out what went. Never had that. I just
Yikes.
never. I've known all
Yeah.
that experience. Do we disagree and have arguments? Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have strong disagreements on a lot of things, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think another secret is not to hang on and keep things. Like, I
Yes.
don't I don't hold on to something. Like, once we've had a disagreement, I don't beat her up with it and bring it up and constantly and trying to aggravate her and stuff like that. If we have a disagreement or we don't agree on something, fine. Then we agree to disagree and move on. It's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. That's so good. I know when couples, I do couples facilitations.
Well, then you know how bad it is then, I
Oh,
imagine.
they bring out the file cabinets. And I'm just like, okay, kids, you signed up with me. You know the rules. The
Yeah.
file cabinets stay out of the sacred space that we are in. No
Hmm.
file cabinets. And, and it's so funny because what ends up happening is everybody shuts the fuck up. And everybody has to like be in their solid discomfort, and there's something that happens when the file cabinets aren't allowed. There's a melting that happens,
Yeah.
and the melting creates this, nobody's defended, and you have love that is undefended. And when you have that, the hearts reopen, you
Agree.
know those barriers come down. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because I think it's an important thing to just let it go. Let
Yeah,
it go.
and some people do that. They'll hang on to stuff from years, and then they get into an argument. I've seen couples I know. They'll be like, "Yeah, but you remember when you did this, 5 years ago?" And I'm like, "5 years ago? Like, you're really hanging on to that?"
Oh shit.
And I'm sure you hear it all the time.
I
I mean,
do.
you have to know when to go. And then, like I said, but there's times that you don't let things go. I mean, you have to take each individual thing as it comes.
Yes.
But I will never throw something at my wife that happened years ago.
Yeah.
I just kind of move on,
Yeah, you
and I think
have to.
another yeah, and I think another important thing, and it's natural to me, but it's always been natural with us, is that you have to have your own. And how I word this has got to be careful. You have to have your own separate lives,
Yes.
um, and not be up in each other 24/7. Like,
Yes.
I do things that she's not interested in. She does things I'm not interested in,
Yeah.
and we support each other
And
on
it's
it. But
okay.
it's okay. It's her thing.
Yeah.
Drumming is my thing.
Yeah.
I love drumming now. She doesn't want to be a drummer, so I don't sit there and babble about drumming 24/7 to her or make her want to drum or anything.
Yeah.
I have my own thing. Wrestling was my own thing. We have
Yeah.
our separate things that we do. And I think a lot of relationships that are around each other 24/7 and in each other's
In
trying to
each
be in
other's
each other's
business.
space, I imagine it's bad. I've never done it like that, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's not cool. I know that with me and the Scotsman for a while there, I own this. I was getting butt hurt because he was not interested in reading my book, and he's not interested in my work.
Hmm.
He's got a sensitivity that when he hears about human atrocities, it is repulsive. It repulses him. It makes him ill. So I don't have that expectation anymore. And you know what? It's a relief,
Hmm.
because in the work that I do, and this in the topics that you cover, sometimes enough is enough, and
Yeah.
you don't want it in your relationship space, and
Hmm.
it's okay. And it doesn't mean, your significant other doesn't support you. It just means that it is, it's okay to have no-go zones, I think.
I think so too. I
You
think that's
know?
a healthy marriage. I mean,
Yeah.
in old couples, you remember the old days, like, there was bowling night, or the guy would have, the bridge night or crib night or whatever they would,
Yes.
go
Yeah.
play cards or whatever. And
Yeah.
these marriages seem that be happier because they had their own things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's when one person or the other kind of well, I'm not saying not shame, but kind of like makes the person feel bad for
Yes.
doing something that they're not a part of, and
Yeah,
making them
or
feel like it's a bad thing.
guilting them,
Guilt, yeah.
that it is an affront. And I get that a lot in couples, where they go, well, she's not interested in this, he's not interested in this, and I always come back to, well, because my clients, they work the Hermetica. And I'm like, Well, what is the belief that you are holding internally that you think your partner's reflecting to you with that
Mm,
feeling that you are coveting right now that isn't very pleasant? Like, why would you hold on to that? What is it that you're believing? Because this person isn't interested in what you are into. What's the belief here about them or
that's
about
a good
yourself?
question.
And
That's a good
it
question.
always starts to break down, and it's cool. And I got to check myself. I got to do that all the time. I do that with my partner. I do that with people that I work with, especially when there's some kind of like trigger and I'm viewing them in a way that, is more of a reflection of me because I'm the one having the feeling.
Hmm.
So I'm the common denominator. My feeling is the common denominator or my lack thereof.
Yeah.
So it's always, I think, a great litmus test to bring it back to yourself and check yourself,
That's a
you
good
know?
that's a good thing to do because that's great advice actually. Because if you do have couples that are listening and one of them is mad because their partner is doing something that they're not including their partner in, and the other partner's not interested in, to ask them that, like, why are you getting so butthurt
Yeah,
that they're doing something that be without you? Like,
yeah,
is it because you have separation anxiety? Do you have
yeah,
trust issues? I would
yeah,
imagine, if I had to guess, and I'm just guessing, a lot of it would boil down to trust issues or
yes,
something like that.
absolutely. That is very, very, very common. And the thing is, I think when you say use the Hermetica, particularly the law of correspondence, as above, so below, from within, so without,
Hmm.
that if you're having those feelings, it really points back to you. What are
Right.
you insecure about? Or is it perhaps you're the one that's up to something?
Good point.
And so I always put that out, and it just levels the playing field, you
No,
know.
that's a good exercise.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I always question, like, even when I react to things, and not just in my marriage, in anything, I
Mhm.
really like try to pull back and why am once again, this why question, why am I reacting the way that I am?
Yeah.
Why am I having this reaction? What's behind it? Because,
Yes.
people are in such a reactive state these days, and I think they have to start asking why they're that reactive. Where does that even come from? And you can definitely incorporate that into a relationship
Yeah, for
for
sure.
100%. It's a good thing to do. And I would also say too, with relationships, at least with marriage, and well, in relationships in general, is that, it's fine. Like, this whole, like, the way they're destroying relationships out in this world, and how they're
Mhm.
breaking down marriages and relationships in general, and really the damage they're doing frustrates me, because now you have people that I was telling you on my show, the men don't even know what their role is in the relationship
Right.
anymore. They're kind of walking around going, what does she want from me? And I keep
Yeah.
telling people it's okay to be the man in the relationship, and as well, it's good to be the woman in the relationship. They're both
Mhm.
important
Yeah.
roles. They're both very different roles, but
Yes.
they're equally as important.
Yes.
And they're just only humanity can mess this up.
Of course, because there's a natural flow to things.
Right.
And and so a lot of that natural flow is being disrupted. And
Oh,
it
yeah,
goes
yeah.
totally against natural law.
Hmm.
Um, but that's a whole other topic of conversation.
Hmm.
But that being said, I totally hear what you're saying. And the confusion, I think, really points back to how a lot of us, and especially those who do not do the shadow work, are going to be inundated not only with a sort of personalized sort of malignancy in terms of our upbringing, but there's also a collective malignancy that takes into account not just our upbringing, but also the societal thing. And then we have the third aspect, which is the unconscious malignancy, which is all about the sort of historical pain body of human relationships that triggers these atavistic triggering that people are like, oh, I can't go there. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look at it.
Hmm.
So, Jung said we have these three uh, kind of relational realities that we have to be able to navigate
Yeah.
you know? And
It's
so
tricky. It is.
Ooh, it is
And
tricky.
they're muddying the waters so bad. And I just, the more I keep seeing and learning about it, I can't, it makes total sense why relationships are struggling and failing, and that they've done everything to invert what is natural and good, and just
Hmm.
destroying it. They're
Yeah.
destroying it. I think these dating apps and stuff, they're not, to me, they're not good.
No, they're
I mean,
not.
and I'm sure you can find people. I got happily married on a dating. There's always the exception to the rules,
Hmm.
but it's not the norm. I have friends that are single, and it's a horror show out there for what I see. It's just
Yeah.
that I don't know how people are really. It doesn't surprise me, but there's really a war on this that is
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. No, there really, really is.
Yeah,
And
and people are just
it
walking.
promotes a lot of, for me, narcissism, sociopathy. I mean, just the narcissists, sociopaths, and the psychopaths that are pervasive and trolling and getting more and more and more. I mean, they're populating these things
Hmm.
because you can just sit there and bullshit your way through, put a fake profile up and troll.
Hmm.
And I think it's dangerous,
I
personally.
do too. I do too. And I couldn't do it. Like if I was that, I couldn't be in that dating scene. I wouldn't. I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
couldn't be on my phone app sitting there swiping and swiping and doing that. I would. To me, you went out and you met people or through friends, and it
Yeah.
just kind of, the way that it should be done. And this is just such an unnatural, to me, way. And maybe I'm
Yeah, I
old.
agree.
You know,
I agree with you. I agree with you a
yeah,
thousand
I
percent. So
yes,
I'm looking at the time, sweetheart.
I'm good
What so what are the things that you're up to currently? Let's talk about,
currently.
what what you're doing in the podcast, what you're doing in terms of, your own more on self-care perhaps, or your sort
Sure.
of self-inquiry. And I love that about you because the asking why, that self-inquiry, why am I reacting the way I am? I
Hmm.
mean, it's just like it's critical basic stuff.
Yeah. I've been that why person as long as I can remember. I want to know things, and the why. I'm just a why person. Why is it the way it is? And so yeah, what I've been doing is what I love doing. I love doing my radio shows and interviewing incredible people and having amazing discussions. I'm so grateful and blessed that I've had met so many incredible people in the few years that I've been doing this, and learned so much. I learn from every conversation I have with my guest, and it sends me usually down another path to look into something or something new I discover about myself,
Yeah.
or what's going on in the world. So I really enjoy that. So I do that twice a week. I do it on Mondays on revolution.radio. That's my solo show.
Hmm.
Crypt Rick's I've been thinking. And then on Thursdays at revolution.radio, it's like you said, the Crypt Rick and Jonathan show. We do that 6 to 8 p.m. for both shows, Eastern Standard Time. Studio A, if you guys want to check me out. And I'm on the other platforms like YouTube, Rumble, stuff like that. That's where I do my video interviews. But I love doing that, and that's what I'm continuing to do. And drumming is new. Drumming, I just started like about 6 months ago now. I
Yeah,
kind of
tell
lost
tell
track.
tell us about that. Are we talking about a drum kit? Are we talking
Yeah,
cool?
absolutely. Yeah,
Nice.
I got two drum kits actually. I got
Rock and roll, man.
I know, I love it. Electric kit I got for at nighttime drumming. Don't drive my wife crazy. And my acoustic kit, which is your standard drum kit.
Nice.
And yeah, I started that in the summer, in the middle of the summer, and I wanted to. I've always been like drums, and I always,
Hmm.
when I listen to music, which I always have music going in the background pretty much all the time. I always drum along to it and stuff like that.
Cool.
And I don't know what got me to do it. I think my buddy and I were talking, and he was a guitarist, and he was like, it'd be really cool if we had somebody that would play drums. And I was like, okay, I'll get a drum kit. I'll try it. And
Awesome.
with my
Awesome.
condition, is so abnormal. It's makes it difficult because like I said, I'm hunched over, so
Hmm.
I got to kind of.
But you make it work.
I do. I micromanage. I'm
Yeah.
micromanaging my kit all the time and
Yeah.
trying to make it work for me. And I'm still not there. I still got a lot of hurdles to go by, but I've been doing that since the middle of the summer, and I love it. I wish I would have started drumming when I was 16, 17
Oh
years
my
old.
God. Well, I've been threatening that. I've been a, multi-instrumentalist, kind of all
You
my life,
should.
especially when I was doing music actively. And so I played percussion, but I never had a drum kit. I've always had a different instruments, different drums, hand drums, etc.
Hmm.
I did a thing of taiko drumming, and just but I've never had a kit, and I've been threatening to do it. My neighbors are gonna fucking hate me even more, and I'm out in the sticks, but it doesn't seem to matter, but I'm always curious about that. But I love it
You
because when
should.
you said that you make it work for you,
I
like
have
I
to.
do the bass drum with my left foot and everybody's trying to correct me. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck
Well, you might
off.
be. You might be a see. I'm trying left or right-handed. You might be a right-handed or a left-handed drummer.
I am ambidextrous, but I do a lot of things with my left hand. I bat better with my from the left
Mm.
side. So whatever, but drummers, when they see me over the years, when they see me, and I'm actually on a kit, they tell me, no, no, you're doing it wrong. Typical fucking chica, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. It just makes me laugh.
Right.
So how is it? Like, do you find that the drumming has, created a new level of relaxation for you?
Absolutely. Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
God. Oh my God, it changed my life. Like it really did. It sounds cliche when I say that, but it really did. I love it so much, and I like I said, I
That's
wish I would have
awesome.
started so many years ago. And that's just part of me be persevering again. Like I'm very, I get so like I'm a dog with a like on a bone when I like something, and I knew it was going to be tough. I'm like even my drum teacher, and you can watch me on Friday. So anybody listening, if you want to see me learning how to drum, you can just go on YouTube and go to Drumming for All
Okay.
nonprofit.
Drumming
So
for all.
nonprofit.
Okay.
And then if you go there on Fridays from
Okay.
12:15 to 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can see
Okay.
me for an hour do my drum lesson. And
Oh my
so
God, that's so awesome.
yeah.
Oh my
So
God,
yeah,
I love it.
I'm already up there. What we did our first one 2 weeks ago. We had to reschedule for the last week that passed, but it's supposed to be every Friday. And so yeah, join me and come and watch, and you're gonna see that I'm actually really hunched. I'm not lying. I'm really hunched over, so I have to compensate
Okay.
and really work with things and kind of like I'm
It's
always
it's
moving stuff.
drumming what?
Drumming for All
For
nonprofit.
all. I love it.
And then yeah, and I love Carlos. He's my teacher, and he runs the organization Drumming for All nonprofit. He any donations that he gets, um, go into helping people that can't afford drums and drum equipment and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, and he donates anything. Anybody that donates, all of that money goes to getting equipment to people that can't afford it, can't afford lessons.
That is amazing. Wow,
He's
you
amazing.
you are, you're just so eclectic.
That's
You've got a
cool.
lot of things going on. I mean, you live with this pain and it doesn't stop you. It
I
it
it
doesn't
tries.
stop you, you
It
know?
tries.
Yeah.
It's doing it. It tries. I'd be lying if I say that I don't have days where I'm just really miserable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
I
get
was
that.
telling you, yeah, like I was telling you today, like I've been nursing this
Hmm.
sore hip for the last 48 hours because I
Yeah.
sat in a chair that
Yeah.
was too low for me and I tried to get out on my own without asking help. This is where my
Hmm.
stubborn comes in, my
Yeah.
lesson. And I pulled myself out of the chair, hurt myself, and now I'm suffering. I
Yeah.
got what I deserved. And so I do have,
Aw.
well, I mean,
Well,
it's
I mean,
sore.
we're not on camera and it happens. And I didn't want to be on camera either. So, we're good. It's
But
all
that's the
good.
thing. I love this, yeah, and I'm happy I'm here, and I love our conversations. But that's a great thing to remember is that you're gonna have your bad days. I have
Yeah.
many bad days where my disease does its best to really take me down, and
Yeah.
some days I have to pull back. I have to
Yeah.
take a step back and say my
Yeah.
body needs a couple days to relax. So what do I do? I put on some documentaries or something I enjoy, and I'll sit back and I take the time to let
Hmm.
my body heal. You have to be really in tune
Yeah.
with your body and listen
Yeah.
to your body. Your body will tell you what it needs, but people are so busy and so distracted that they're not listening to their bodies anymore.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. And they override that internal mechanism
Absolutely. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
tells you, you know.
Yeah, and I'm learning about like, and then another thing too, remember people is that there's so many supplements out there now, and it wasn't around when I first got sick. These
Hmm.
things like they were there, but it wasn't talked about, and doctors certainly weren't telling me about it. And so now there's so many great treatments like CBD changed my whole pain management regimen.
Sweet.
It's
Sweet.
amazing. I love CBD.
Do
God,
you
it's
do
such
you do an oil, a balm?
I do the tincture that goes under your tongue.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, so I do that, and I do that 3 times a day, and that keeps me so much better. And another thing that I want to tell people about to look into is royal jelly. This
okay.
stuff is
Yes.
incredible. Oh my God.
It's
I
been
wish
around forever.
I know. I just learned about it. Somebody I was interviewing, one of my guests told me about it. She's like, "You need to try royal jelly." I didn't know what she meant. I thought she meant like jelly for your toast. And I'm like, "Royal
You're
jelly? Is that
so
like a brand?"
adorable.
And no, she's like, "No, it's what the queen bee lives on in the
Yes,
hive, and she's the only
yes.
one that can have it." And I was like, "Oh," and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my
Awesome.
God. So yeah, I do that. Like there's so many, obviously do my iodine. Like that's what my regimen is now is the royal jelly. I do my omegas. I do
Hmm.
my D3 or
Hmm.
D6 actually, D6 because it's winter here. So
Yeah.
I'm not getting the amount of sun I normally do. And then but yeah, the royal like I said, royal jelly, my iodine. So I'm just taking a lot of
Yeah.
things to help boost everything, and it's changed my life.
Wow,
Like I'm
that's cool.
drumming.
What do you use for omega-3?
It's just a gel.
Okay.
Um, it's like a gel cap, and the thing is,
Okay.
with me being hunched over, I can't. Everything with me has to be. I can swallow it, so
Yeah.
I have to. I get the gel caps, and the worst part is I got to break them open and taste what's in them, and it's horrible. By the way, oh,
Oh,
it's bad. It's bad. I
yeah.
don't reckon. I mean, if you can
Yeah, no,
swallow
I hear
these,
you. Like,
it's like,
oh,
oh my God. But it's and then I do. Oh, and my B12. B is
okay.
really important. So I
Okay.
do B12, omega 369, royal jelly, my iodine, and then my D6. And those are
Okay.
my main ones that I do. And then the odd time I'll even use colloidal silver once in a while. But and then my obviously God, sounds like so much, but it's really not. And
No,
then
it's
my
not.
yeah, and then my CBD is crucial.
Mhm. Nice.
So there's
I
ways around it. You can do this. You have to get stubborn and get angry at your condition, whatever it
Yeah.
is, and not let it control you. And
Yeah.
I went through and sorry if I'm babbling.
No,
I'm
you're
but
not
I'm
babbling, sweetheart.
okay.
You're not.
But it's
This
just
is awesome.
I just like to tell people that don't let your condition, whatever it is, run you.
Yeah.
Don't let it define who you are. And I it took me a lot of years to learn this lesson. And I fought against it, and I did everything like I said at the beginning. I did everything the wrong way at the start. And I want to try to save people from that. And you have to be rage against what your condition is, and you have to not let it control you. I mean,
Yeah.
I won't let it. I won't. I refuse to. I get stubborn, and sometimes to my detriment, as I said, with hurting my hip and that because I was just stubborn and not asking for help. But I wouldn't be
Hmm.
if I let my condition control me. I wouldn't be drumming. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Oh, I'm bowling.
Yeah.
I bowl. I bowl. I can't believe I bowl.
You bowl?
Yeah, I can't
Are
even
you
see the
shitting
pins.
me?
No, I can't even see the pins. I'm so hunched over. I just kind of lob it down the lane. I get strikes too. I can bowl.
Oh my God. I am probably the shittiest bowler
Me too. Join the
ever,
club.
ever, ever. And there are some really hilarious photos of me. My first and only time bowling. I mean, what a clown show.
It's an art,
Definitely
man.
not flattering.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not. Well, yeah, that's why I said I can't see the pins. I always make jokes because I gotta kind of look at the dots on the lane. And when the balls knows there's dots on the lane, I gotta kind of use the dots, but I can't look up to see where the pins are. So I always tell people like, could you? I'm not a bad bowler like this. Could you imagine if I could see the pins?
Oh, Jesus. You
I'd be way
clean
better.
up. You'd
So
be
yeah,
cleaning up.
I'd be cleaning up. But that's what I mean. I rage against it. And the worst thing somebody can say to me is I can't do something. And I'm like, oh.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
how I've been living. And it's served me well. It's kept me moving. And even since I started drumming, I'm getting more movement out of my
Yeah.
body. Like it's like things are starting to loosen up and limber up. And I think that I think from my experience, I'm not sure I can say this for everybody, but for me, always trying new things and really pushing yourself keeps
Mhm.
you more energetic and more um hungry for life, I guess is a
Yeah.
good way to put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
less stagnant.
Yeah. That's good because we need that curiosity along with our creativity,
Hmm.
and we need especially with significant others, downtime or together time. Like what do you and your wife like to do for fun?
For fun, we like watching movie. We love watching movies. Like,
Awesome.
so we'll sit and we'll watch a movie together or a show or something.
Hmm.
We love to do that. We love to just sit and read. So we'll just
Nice.
sit there. It's good to be quiet. I mean,
Yes.
it's just being in our presence,
Yes.
and our presence is amazing. And we love being outside in the summer at least. We like to
Cool.
be outside doing things together. But that's what we love doing. And she's
Yeah.
got her own thing. She's really big into crystals
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
she's
How's
doing
that
that.
going?
It's awesome, and I'm
Yay!
learning about that too. I didn't know there were so many different types of crystals.
Oh
It just
yeah.
blows my
I'm a
mind.
rock hound. The Scotsman and I, when we got together, like we were amused that we had a very similar collection of
That's
rock minerals
cool.
and crystals. Like you can't make it up.
Right.
We have the sort of yin and yang of one another's collection, and so it's been an awesome thing. So I'm really excited for your wife about the the crystals and all of that. So,
Yeah, it's
and
just
learning about
amazing.
them, they're
What's that?
creatures, and
Yeah,
learning about them.
yeah. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know there was so many different ones. I can't believe it. I'm learning every day that there's more and more and more. Like it's just incredible. And then what amazes me, and I'm sure probably you, is how beautiful nature is that it creates
Yeah,
this. Like I
yeah,
always look at them and go, I can't believe nature did this. Like
yeah,
how perfect.
yeah. Their structure,
There
their
certainly is.
molecular structure materialized
Yeah.
in different sizes. Like, what?
Yep, and the
Awesome.
colors too. The
Yeah.
colors too. I'm just like, wow, like that's so green or that's so purple. And I just look at my wife and I'm like, can you believe that this nature made this?
Yeah. And
It's
is this online or is this at an actual shop?
she's got her shop going online. I can get the address to you.
Yeah,
So
get me the
I
address
will.
and we'll have all of your information in the show notes below because there's just there's just so much. You are a marvel.
I'm trying. I strive. Like I said, I strive. I want to stay active, and I think it's healthy. Well, I know it's healthy. If I just sat on the bed all day and felt sorry for myself and didn't do anything, I wouldn't be doing. I'd be just, God, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like I'd
Yeah.
be in so much pain. I wouldn't be. I'd be just miserable. I think
Yeah. I hear you.
you
I
gotta
hear you.
keep
I feel
striving
you.
and do not let your condition, whatever it is,
Hmm.
run who you are.
Yeah.
You have to fight against it. I don't. And
Yeah.
it sounds corny saying that, but it's true.
No, I don't think it's corny. I think it is true. And the conditions that we live in, I mean, these are all matrix related things,
Hmm.
because my good days and bad days. My bad days are when I am in pain or when I'm overwhelmed by the pain of, say, my clients and students, because I listen to a lot of really bad shit,
Hmm.
and I get fed up, and I get sucked into that sort of matrix thing, and I want a comet to come take out the planet.
Yep.
That is as bad as I get.
Yeah.
And it's an awful place to be,
Yeah. I agree. I've been there.
because
I've
you
been.
just
Oh.
lose perspective and you lose hope,
Yeah.
and I'm not a nice person when I'm like that.
That's what I was saying earlier. It changes you. It
Hmm.
really does, and that's been kind of my journey is rediscovering what the softer side of me because I became very rough. Like I mean,
Hmm.
like when you're in pain every day, you become very immune to when somebody like stubs their toe or hurts themselves a little bit. You're like you just go whatever because you're used to this chronic pain all the time. But then you have to realize that their pain is real too,
Yeah.
and they're feeling it, and so yeah, it's I've been some of the lowest depression that people can believe me. Anyone that's listening that's been depressed, I've been there. I've been so low. I don't. You couldn't get any lower.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't want to be alive. It was miserable, and I was like that.
Aw.
And but that was more in my younger days, like when I was still learning and
Hmm.
dealing with this. So I would go in these really big lows, and then I would come out of it, and then for a while, and I'd be right back down into these lows again. And you have to kind of identify when they're coming,
Yeah.
if you can, and it kind of like know you get to know when they're coming and how to kind of
Yeah.
avoid them.
Do you get hints? Because I know for me, I know what those little things are.
Yeah,
Um,
I God, it's
yeah.
been a while since I've been that depressed. I haven't really been that bad in a long time.
Hmm.
With me, I would say probably, if I had to guess, I would probably be, if I am get like, I do still get down when I'm really really sore. So I wouldn't call it depression. I just get really down. My energy is low, and I'm kind of like, oh,
Hmm.
this really sucks. And for me, it would definitely be lack of sleep. I think
Yes.
that's for me when I start not being able to sleep properly. I'm like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for me too. It
yeah.
is the lack of sleep. And, because it's such a reset and an important reset.
Hmm.
And, a lot of, I hear a lot, and you don't need that much sleep. You don't need that much. And people pride themselves. I can get by on just like, and I used to be like this. And it's like, yeah, shut up. Stop it. Don't do that to yourself, because
I like
it
my
is,
sleep.
it's self-abuse. And I like my sleep too. I'm
Me
totally
too.
into it. My bed is awesome.
I can imagine, right? Like that's what I'm saying. I love sleep, and if I do get bouts of insomnia, I'm miserable.
Hmm.
I hate when I can't sleep. Like, and people also listening that know chronic pain or dealing with conditions, your energy is very. You never know what your energy is gonna be. Like some days you can conquer the world and go 20 hours, and you feel like you can conquer everything, and then there's days where after I've been doing stuff for 3 hours, I have to go and lay down. I'm wiped out.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just every day, and that's why that's hard when you do what I do, interviewing people, because
Yeah.
there's some days you don't want to interview somebody, you're not in the mood,
Yeah.
or you're having a bad day, and then you feel bad because then you gotta get a hold of your guest and reschedule with them, and then you hope they're not mad at you because
Aw.
but it's just things
Yeah.
like that bother me. I'm like, so I try to explain to people like, every day for me is different.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what tomorrow's going to be. I could
Yeah.
be amazing tomorrow. My hip could feel amazing, and I could be like, Maria, didn't even hip, no problem. It doesn't even hurt. Or it
Yeah.
could be just as bad.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And
It's always different.
I'm such a stickler for like self-care and really honoring our limits, honoring what
Yeah.
the body is saying, what the mind is saying, what the emotions are saying. And, so I'm very easygoing about that kind of stuff. I just
Yeah.
kind of like flow with it. And so,
That's amazing.
so here we are. And I'm looking at the time. I'm going to need to wrap it up,
Sure
but
thing.
I have enjoyed your company so, so very, very much.
Well,
Thank
thank you.
you
I hope I
so
didn't bore
much.
everybody.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. This was a really awesome, awesome conversation.
Cool.
I mean, so many things that we covered, and I'm going to list them out. And, it's just it's such, I'm so happy to know you, and I'm so happy that you are my friend.
Me
And I
too.
just, I just love you and adore you.
Thank
I
you.
love everything that you're doing. And I love the drumming, like everything, just everything that you talked about. It's like, holy moly,
Well,
this
get a
is a
drum kit.
well-rounded person.
Get a drum kit, and we will get you drumming.
Yeah, I'm that. Yeah. I gotta find room in my house. In my
Yeah.
my house is not that big. And so, you come in, and in my dining room, which is a fairly large space, I have got a 5'4" baby grand, and
Wow.
two keyboards stacked on one another, and I have a little table where I eat, because that's where I eat and a guest would eat. And then the living room is like plants. I've got 300 plus plants. So,
That's incredible.
it is so where would a drum kit be?
That's a
Oh,
good
I have a
point.
garage downstairs
There you go. And you
that
can
I
buy an
don't put
electric
the
kit.
car in.
Yeah, and you can buy an electric drum kit. Like they're amazing now. Electric drum kits, guys. If you're in an apartment or
Mhm.
you have to be quiet, you can get an electric drum kit. You put your headset on and you can play it in the
Do
middle of the
you have
night.
a recommendation?
I use Alicia. That's the
Okay.
brand. Yeah,
Yeah,
LLA.
I know that brand.
There you go. That's what I have. I have an Elysia Surge, and that's
Okay.
the one I got. And I want to get a better one eventually. This is about mid range. There's one a step up I want to get, but
Mhm.
it's way out of my price range. It's like $3,000, and I'm just like,
Holy
ooh,
moly. Yeah.
yeah. So I would recommend that for people.
Holes.
But they even have cheaper ones. They can get a good E kit from Elysia now for like, I don't know, $400, which is
Nice.
incredible for drums. Believe me, I pay some of the cymbals I own are like $600 each.
Yeah.
So if
No,
they get a whole
I
drum
hear
kit,
you. I
yeah.
hear you. You know,
Drumming is, and I will say that drumming is not cheap. That's the one thing I
yeah.
couldn't lie to people. It's not cheap. It's all expensive to get into, but an E kit, if you need quiet and you don't have a lot of space, like
Yeah,
this
that's
one,
probably gonna be my thing.
oh, you'll love it.
That's gonna be my
You'll
thing.
love
And
it.
I have like old school drum machines. So, but it isn't the same thing when you're playing with your fingers. I want to
Exactly.
actually sit there and hit something
It's great
because
therapy.
that's one of the things that I do. I've got 9 guitars.
It's incredible. You got everything
Yeah,
but a drum kit.
it's like I need a drum kit now.
You
So
do,
I
and
get it.
it's great exercise. I will tell people that too. Like you will sweat, and you will lose weight. If your goal is to even lose weight or get in shape,
Hmm.
drumming will do it. I mean, you drum for an hour. I'm done drumming for an hour. I'm soaked. Like
Yeah.
you just sweat. Like I was just
Wow.
like, wow, it's a
Cool.
workout. Yeah, it's great for getting frustration out, your
Very-
anger out if you're mad. So if you're having a bad day, instead of yelling at somebody or
Yeah.
whatever,
Or going downstairs in the cold garage,
exact.
hitting my
Oh,
100-pound bag,
Oh
kicking
my
it,
God.
Yeah.
You
So
can make some music in that. But yeah, it's been great. I hope people enjoyed it. And if you guys want to get a hold of me, I'm easy to get a hold of. You can email me at binthinkingpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to come on as a guest or you want to have a discussion, I'm easy to get a hold of.
yay, yay.
Yeah.
So thank you, my love. And all right, kids, that is it for today. And my hat is off to Crypt Rick. And thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in. And so until next time, here is to your love, truth, and beauty. Mwah!